Welcome to Only in Santa Clara County, a podcast aimed at demystifying and democratizing the process of local government and civic participation in the county of Santa Clara. My name is Ellina Yin, and I will be your host. Hello, and welcome back to Episode 3, County Budgets 101. And before we get started, let's situate ourselves. So Episode 1, we learned about local county government structure via the charter and constitutional documents. Episode 2, we learned about Policy Making 101, or what I like to call world building. And now, sticking to our garden analogies of episodes past, now we talk about what a garden, this thriving garden of democracy we were all dreaming of, what does it need? Well, next, we need resources. Just like a plant needs resources, sunlight, water, nutritious soil, and fertilizers, every policy idea needs resources as well. We are talking staff time, money, and money, which brings us to the budget. So in this episode, Betty and I talk about the process of county budgets. Also, FYI, this conversation was recorded back in February of early of this year, which was when the county budget process was about to start. Where we are today at the release of this episode, end of September, we are about 3 months in, counting from July 1st into the fiscal year of the county's fiscal year, which is from July 1st to June 30th of the following year. So in the show notes, you will find links to the budget timeline, documents, and other resources should you wish to explore. Okay, so welcoming back our guest host, BettyDuong. She has over a decade of experience working at the County of Santa Clara as the Budget and Policy Director of the Office of Supervisor Cindy Chavez, Office of Labor and Standards Enforcement, leading Public Information Office of Emergency Operations Center for the COVID-19 response, and several other projects. Right now, she is the Chief of Staff for Supervisor Cindy Chavez, and disclaimer, Betty is currently a Board of Supervisor candidate. However, this podcast is neither an endorsement or opposition of any candidate for the Board of Supervisors. All right, folks, so I want to start us off with one of my favorite clips from Parks and Rec's TV show.
Grab a few donuts, sit back, and enjoy the show.
Another thing, now I want to kind of get into money. Mm-hmm. How does money work at the county? Where does it come from? And what is the process of creating the budget, dispersing it? But first, we'll start, where does it come from?
Our funding, depending on which budget document you're reading, the county's annual budget is $11.3 billion gross, or $10.6 billion net. Yeah. So 10.6, 11.3, 0.2.3. That's a lot of money, at the county. And those funds, the sources of these funds are your property taxes. So whoever owns a house or owns a property, you have to pay property taxes on it every single year. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a source of our general fund. So our general funds is comprised of general funds, meaning that it's not restricted, and it's still restricted. It has to be spent within in accordance with the directions of the charter. But what I mean by unrestricted is that our other sources of funding come from the state and federal government, and those are specifically earmarked for a specific purpose, which requires documentation, record keeping, and auditing on a regular basis to make sure that the funds are being expended appropriately for its intended purposes.
Okay, and then so are there two different budget documents for the state funding and the property tax, or it's
all together?
Okay.
So it's in and I wish I brought my budget book. Like, it's about this thick of a book that's presented every single year, mm-hmm. and it's the recommended or in the adopted budget. So all that's mixed in together because so much of it exists at the same time within county departments and programming. Mm-hmm. It even comes down to staffing. There are numerous positions at the staff, coded positions at the county, mm-hmm. which is funded half the salary is funded in part by the county general fund, in part by state dollars, in part by federal dollars. Yeah.
And does the property tax stay with the county, or is that shared with the city?
Yeah, so we do a portion because property taxes is also how the great question, by the way. Property taxes is also how we fund public education. So when all the 15 cities and unincorporated county are making their property tax payments every single year, part of the function of the county assessor's office and in their numerous staff of really smart people who understand numbers and are crunching the numbers, the county assessor decides the value of property. So they assess property value and the appropriate tax for that property.
Okay.
So they are managing property values and that's what the county assessor does. Once the county assessor has declared for every single property, here's your value, here's the tax, the property tax related to that value. The office of the tax collector is in charge of collecting those taxes. Year-round, every year. Sometimes year-round, there's lots of taxes that they collect and lots of things that they collect, but for the property taxes purposes, it's every year that we collect property taxes. I just made my payment. And then after the office of the tax collector, who is responsible for the accurate, timely collection of taxes and making sure you have your receipt and that all your records are in order. The office of the finance agency now apportions the taxes. They look at all the money that's been collected and they make sure, they look at all the, let me get that back up here. They look at all the money that's been collected and they make sure that it's distributed accurately to the school districts, to the cities, to the special districts such as fire districts, sanitation districts. We have lots of districts, and that's where the money, when it's a portion, is we make sure that what percentage of the population, what function you have within our county, and here defined by state charter, by county charter, state charter, local ordinances. This is the amount of this is your portion of the property taxes that's going to be allocated to support your operations.
Okay. And the county is June to July. Is that the fiscal year?
June 30th. Yeah. So June 30th. So it's July 1st to June 30th.
Okay, July 1st to June 30th. So that is the dispersing. And so how does the county budget process work? For example, in San Jose, I think we start with the message in March, and there's public hearings. How does it happen on a county level?
I'm going to say that it starts sooner than that. So we have this thing called mid-year budget, and the city does too. So I mean, just taking a step further back here, on July 1st, the new budget, the adopted budget, right, is it's like a budget. It's like anyone's budget in your household, right? Here's what we're going to spend on Christmas this year. Here's what we're going to spend on birthday this year. Here's what we're going to spend on groceries this month. Right? It's looking ahead.
It's like a vision board.
It's an aspirational document. Yeah. I love our budget book because I truly believe all of the county's hopes and dreams, what we value, what we prioritize, what our mission is in that budget book. I know people don't usually think of budgets in that way, but that budget book is the book of hopes and dreams.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get a copy.
Yeah. You got it. It's a book of hopes and dreams. We're going to have an effective and functioning health and hospital system where no child is going to be left behind. We're going to have a senior nutrition program that makes sure that seniors are not they don't experience social isolation, and they have access to warm, healthy meals and access to each other and community, right? We're going to have line items for the social services department for foster care, right? That for our transition age youth, to make sure that the children that are our children, once they become in our custody and care, we, as the whole county, is their mom and dad now, right? That this is what we're going to hope for them. This is our commitment in dollars and cents for them, and staffing. So the budget book is an aspirational document that looks ahead to the year. And at mid-year, which is around December, January,
it's kind of like a little brain.
So we call it the mid-year budget review, which means that, hey, we've made it through the end of the calendar year.
Yeah.
Usually happens after, at the beginning of the year. It's happening right now. I believe tomorrow our mid-year budget will be presented to the board of supervisors. And it basically says, here's what we actually spent so far against what we projected to
Receipts.
spend. Yeah, the receipts.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a whole auditing process that goes along with it. We have a third-party independent auditing service that reviews it as an independent body, and they make their recommendations. They provide their feedback, right? But we get to say, oh, we actually spent more than we allocated, or we spent less than what we originally allocated. And more or less, the real issue is like, why? What changed from the time that we made our projection? What has not changed? What has remained consistent? What new needs have emerged, or what need did we not anticipate? Like based on our best information, we identified a goal for a certain program, and now we've seen that goal has exceeded, like its need, like need has exceeded all metrics that we have projected for it, right? This is the time where we get to really get down in the weeds and understand like where we make adjustments to the budget, where something needs more funding, where something has not used up all of its funding because maybe state or federal programs have not aligned, or we maybe got ahead of our counterparts. For whatever reason, this is where we make the adjustments and reallocate funding. And that also, mid-year budget is also really important because it also creates a foreshadowing of our annual budget process.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's where we are. Here's an indication of what's going to continue to look like. We're going to take all those lessons learned into the annual budgeting process, which happens right afterwards.
Okay. And when is that?
So that happens in March.
Okay.
In March, there is, like just like you explained, there's a budget letter, right? All the departments at the county are presenting their departmental budgets at the policy committee meetings. So the 5 committee meetings that I listed off earlier, they're now reviewing budget.
Okay.
And then they're able to see what the departments requested and what the administration has decided to move forward with. And I feel like a lot of the times the conversations at the committee meetings are like, why to reconcile the differences, right? If this department asks for more, but administration is allocating less, what are we giving up, or what are we negotiating, or what are we compromising on, or what new information was provided that informed this allocation? So a lot of that discussion is happening there, and then it is approved and moved forward to the Board of Supervisors meeting, and we go through our budget workshops, which is really about budget workshops is where all the information is presented, explained, background provided. The public is able to see all of this happening, and everything is live cast, live streamed, and then video recordings are uploaded the very next day to review. So budget workshops is the provision of information, the direction for more research, where we identify like where we really dive down to the budget, and then all the discussions at the budget workshops inform the budget hearings. That then the conversations of the budget workshops that happen in May are now informing the agenda, the topics of discussion, and the priorities for the budget hearings in June. And so in May, when we're doing the budget workshops, the action is to receive the information and forward it to the budget hearings.
Okay.
In June, during the budget hearings, the vote is to approve and adopt the budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Approve and adopt the budget. All right. Makes it busy for people following city and county because
Oh, yeah.
it's the same time.
Yeah, it's happening at the same time. And, the city of San Jose is the county seat. It's the largest city in the county of Santa Clara. And, it's again, that same premise, right? That if the city of San Jose is thriving and doing well and is healthy, it most likely will mean that the rest of the cities in our county is also thriving and doing well. Because just like District 2, the challenges that the other 14 cities in the county of Santa Clara experience is happening all at the same time in the city of San Jose.
Okay. And are there any collaborations between a city budget and a county budget?
The budgets typically...
In the process?
The process pretty much they're informing one another, right? You'll see that there'll be departmental budgets or programmatic budget within the county that says, oh, we're going to, our budget also relies on contributions from the city, or our budget has line items for contributions to the city. So they're aligned in that way. There's a lot of interconnectedness between our programming with the city's programming. For example, our senior nutrition program. We, as the county, administer the state and federal funding earmarked for the senior nutrition program. A lot of this funding is contracted to the cities to operate senior nutrition programs at their community centers because the county doesn't run community centers. We operate health centers and service centers, but not community centers, where a lot of the senior nutrition programming is happening. So there will be line items in the city budget that says source of funds, county, for the senior nutrition program, or for crime prevention, or for safe neighborhoods, right? And that's going to appear on our budget too as a line item of allocation to the city through this partnership.
Wow. So webby.
It's super webby, and it's super it's from department to department, from program to program within those departments. It'll be incredibly diverse and different from each other.
Yeah. All right, everybody, that is a wrap for this episode. And in our show notes, you can find references to a whole bunch of budget documents. And if you've enjoyed this episode, you can support us via Patreon. Please hit that like, that follow, and leave us a comment or a question if you have one. Until next time.